So, hello everyone. Today we're gonna do something different. We're gonna record a small tutorial video about infantry, and maybe later on we're gonna do something else like air or tanks or general tactics. But I think we should just get started. Today with me there's a Swift.
With you. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, I'm the host now. I have the power. And as I said, we're gonna just commentate on the game that we staged, so don't expect any big action. And we're gonna show you like how to play infantry, hopefully. And
Yes, it's Lagmaster's idea. The Lagmaster show.
yeah, that's my show. Yeah. This is my world. You're not welcome in my world. But I think we should just skip to the action, and we're gonna discuss the infantry in the towns first. So let's just skip right into it. Okay, so as you can see in here, there's a column of tanks, Panzer Force, Alkarin's favorite, going through the town, and they're not expecting infantry inside of it.
Yeah, they're gonna be surprise attack.
Yes, but as you can see, and if you check the stats, it has decent damage to tanks, like level 3 is 38, which is still yellow. But we can see what's going to happen because it's saddle charges, so it's a weapon that's being thrown, not shot at. So let's unpause in 3, 2, 1, go. So you can see infantry shoots at the tank, but nothing happens because they just dodges, and there you go. That's a nice graveyard there. So undamaged Panzer Force just moved through the town and nothing happened to them. That's because it's saddle charges, they're not great against tanks. Anything else, Swift, you want to say?
Well, it does depend on the amount of tanks you're moving through. If you had only moved through maybe one of those tanks, it might have, you know, got routed. I'm not sure because, you know, they might have all three units thrown a different tank.
Those infantry with one tank, but I think you could just zoom past them and just avoid attacking them.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, back into the action after a little bit of problems with recording. Now we have 4 heavy infantry in the town, and as you can see on the stats, they're having Panzerfaust, which is weapons that are being shot, not thrown, and it has slightly more damage, but we're gonna see how it does against Panzer Force.
Well, yeah, you should also mention that the Italian heavy infantry, like you said, they only have the Panzerfaust, which is the same as the German light infantry. It'll do the job, but against heavy tanks, you'll notice a difference because it's a light anti-tank gun, like the bazooka, as opposed to the heavy bazooka, which Rangers carry.
Yes, usually Italian ground is okay because it's tanks mainly. Infantry is not as good, but it still should do with heavy infantry. And we should also mention heavy infantry a little bit more resistance or health or whatever you call it, just 100 more, so that they will be a bit more sturdy against tanks and those bloody shells that they shot at them.
And the Sturmgrenadier, the German heavy infantry, carry the best anti-tank weapon in the game. The Panzer Schreck does loads of damage.
Yeah, I think we're gonna show that later in the show, if we have enough time. Okay, so let's just move the tanks through it. There we go, tanks are moving. Slowly but surely. And we have the first victims. Almost instantly, all of them
no survivors.
Yeah, so all of those 6 or 5 Panzer force died, and they only routed 1 infantry. Plus Praslvan could put like Fanet on it, and they would keep on shooting until they die, which is always a thing to remember. So when you see heavy infantry on the field, don't think about sending your tanks to towns. Like that's usually a bad idea to move them to towns anyways. So notice that infantry is going to move away. Anything else we forgot to say?
Not really, although I've played a few 4v4 games where people don't always ambush the towns, they do in 1v1s and stuff, but in bigger games like 3v3s and 4v4s, you know, I've noticed that a lot of people don't ambush the towns, so I'm not saying you should take the risk with an entire column of tanks like that. I mean, that could lose you the game, unless you're playing one of those admin fields 4v4s, but, anyway, sometimes, you know, if you're gonna get there and they're gonna build a bunker or something, it's gonna stop you, you know? For me anyway, I sometimes take the risk of going through a town. Because a lot of the time they don't actually have ambushes there. So,
yeah,
I'm just saying
sometimes
you can do that.
Risk might be worth it, but as you can see, if you're gonna move some heavy tanks through the town, it will be painful. So, hello again. Now we're gonna see something very strange that we discovered with Praslvan. I think he actually told me about it. Yes, I think that was that. You can see light infantry and tigers. So, as you can see with Panzer Force, they stand no chance. But tigers are slower. They're only 27 kilometers an hour. And there's already dead tanks in the town, so the tigers would have to...
The turret turn speed on the Tiger is very painfully slow, so like...
Maybe the light infantry would have a chance to kill those tigers, so... let's unpause.
Also, if it's facing the wrong way, it's gonna take a couple of seconds to face towards its target and fire.
Yep, this is correct, and as you can see the infantry is at the very edge of the town, so the turret will have to turn 90 painful degrees. So unpause in 3, 2, 1, go! So here we go, tigers slowly moving in. And the first one is already obstructed with that dead tank.
Wow! I actually didn't know this.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me as well. I thought the tigers would still obliterate the infantry, but
Oh well, that's interesting. That's really good.
there you go, and Praslvan should chase after that last tank, which he will probably... Yeah, I think he's going to do it. So that was a bit of surprise to me, and Praslvan, and apparently Swift too. So never move your heavy tanks to the town, like ever, unless you know there is no stuff in it, plus tanks are expensive, especially tigers or any other heavy tanks.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on, like, it does make a difference how much infantry is in the town. If you have a lot of tanks, like say you have M15s, like they're really fast, you know, so even if there's heavy infantry in the town, if it's like a town on, what do you call the maps, Strategists, you know, it's a straight line through the town, so if there's only one heavy infantry in there, sometimes the M15s can just zip through anyway. You'll lose maybe the first two, you know. So yeah, speed is definitely a factor in these things.
So now we have heavy infantry in the town. It's German heavy infantry, as and Swift was saying that they have the best anti-tank weapons. It's Panzerschrecks, the dreadful Panzerschrecks, and as you can see on the stats, the damage are huge. It's green to a level armor 5, which is 150, and I think that even the super heavy tanks have like 22 damage. Is it most 22 or IS-3 is 20 or something? So it's a huge damage.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a couple of M15s. I think those are the most popular tanks in Italian arsenal. So let's just run them through that town and we'll see what happens to those poor guys. Unpause in 3, 2, 1, go! He puts them in the blitz so that they get extra 50% of speed.
Yeah, so the speed's about 70 kilometers an hour, right? Ouch.
Yep.
That's
Very
almost
painful.
instant death.
Yeah, I think they fired only a couple of shots, so you would probably need 20 tanks to clear out those 4 infantries. And obviously
Yeah.
that's not cost effective. So there you go, that's ambushes for you. Light infantry, okay, maybe. But not as good as heavy infantry. Doesn't matter what kind of a heavy infantry, as long as it's not saddle charges, it should be okay to stop a couple of tanks.
Yeah, heavy infantry is almost always worth the upgrade. Like, well, obviously it depends on the situation. You need to think, you know, do I need heavy infantry? But for example, the Stone Grenadiers will, like, you know, heavy infantry will beat, say, Strelki in a town, even with surprise attack. Like, two Stone Grenadiers will beat 4 Strelki in a town, even with surprise attack, I think.
So this time we're gonna show you a bit more advanced technique that you could use with infantry. I don't know if there's a name for it, but I just call it cornering. If you see a tank in here, it's very close to the town. It cannot attack the infantry because it's behind the town. So it pretty much sits safe in there. But if the infantry gets out quickly enough, like with Blitz for example, it should be able to catch up with that tank and kill it. So if you can see, or you could like run away your infantry behind the corner, and when the tanks are coming and like, your opponent is not paying attention, then you just pop out from the corner and catch them with your awesome Panzerschrecks or whatever AT you have. So on pause in 3, 2, 1, go. And the infantry getting out. And there you go. It's dead.
Yeah, no, that was a, you know, prime example. But a place where I use this a lot is on center of gravity. The 2 towns on the right and the left, the far right and the left of the map. You can keep infantry behind those towns, especially the ones where there's no surprise attack zone on the roads on, I think, the very far sides of the town. So yeah, because the tanks can't even get recon on them.
Oh yeah, just think about that. We're not playing real games in here. We're just like putting them into place to just show you that it's possible. So you have to apply it